Hi everybody, welcome to this next video. So in this video we're going to be looking at plotting quadratic graphs. This is in foundation and higher, but I'm just going to go through the process of how we actually plot quadratic graphs, the process of creating the table, and then what your graph should look like. So let's dive straight in. First of all, let's go really simple. Y is equal to x squared. Well, all you're saying here is to get my y value, I take my x value and square it. And remember, squared means times by itself. Okay. Times by itself. Now, in this case, x is minus 3. So I'm saying to get y, I just do minus 3 squared, which is minus 3 times minus 3. Be really careful here. When you do minus 3 times minus 3, it gives you a positive number. I do the same here. Minus 2 times minus 2, which is 4. Minus 1 times minus 1, 1. 0 times 0, 0. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. So you notice that there is a pattern to that. From here, you need to plot it. And it's similar to when we did linear graphs. So if you haven't watched that video, there's a video on linear graphs. You are taking this and this is your coordinates. So you're saying minus 3 is my x value, 9 is my y value. So I go to minus 3 and then up to 9, put across. Minus 2, up to 4, put across. Minus 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, and 3, 9, and I have a nice graph drawn. Now, the thing you need to be careful with is once you've plotted your points, you need to make sure that you join the points with a nice, smooth curve. Do not use a ruler. Make sure you go through each point, and you need to create as smooth as curve as you can, okay? So a lot of the time in exam questions, what they'll say to you is they'll say, here's a graph, here's a quadratic graph like this, and they would have used a ruler, and they'll say to you, explain one thing wrong with it. So the thing you should say is that they haven't used a curved line. You need to make sure that when you do yours, you use a nice smooth curve. Okay, let's look at the next one. A little bit harder because now we've got an additional part of the function. So we still do the x squared part, but we then need to subtract 2 afterwards. Remember about following your rules of BIDMAS. You do the indices first, and then you do this bit next. Okay, so let's look at the first bit. X is minus 3, so I do minus 3 times minus 3 as I did in the first one, which we know is 9. But now you're subtracting 2, so you take away 2 from 9, gives you 7. Do the same for minus 2. Minus 2 times minus 2 is positive 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. Minus 1 times minus 1 is positive 1. It's 1 minus 2. Now you need to be careful going into negative numbers. So it's 1 degrees outside. Think about that like it being 1 degree outside. If it's 2 degrees colder, it gives you minus 1. We're going to negative numbers. 0 squared is 0, minus 2 is minus 2. And the other way you can look at that is whatever is here will go under 0, because that's effectively your y-intercept like we spoke about in the previous video on linear graphs. If you haven't watched that, jump back to that. Next one, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 minus 2, minus 1, we've already done that. 2 times 2 is 4, minus 2 is 2, 3 times 3 is 9, minus 2 is 7. So we've now got our points we can plot. So we go minus 3 on my x up to 7, which is there. We go minus 2 up to 2, which is there. Minus 1, 0 minus 2, 1 minus 1, 2, 2, 3, 7. Again, you can see there's a nice element of symmetry to it. And then you just very smoothly, as smooth as you can, join those points, get to the bottom, try and create as much of a curve at the bottom as you can. Go through that next point, up to there, and then back round to that last point. Now what you notice is that graph is basically the same as the other one, but because of this minus 2 part up here, it actually drops down a little bit lower and crosses the y-axis at minus 2, whereas this one crosses at 0. So the points are very similar, but you'll notice they've all dropped down by a couple of values, and the graph is kind of shifted a little bit. Okay, right, let's look at the next one. So we've added in an additional function now. So we've got an x squared. Now this is the harder part. It makes it a bit more complex, where we've got to add another x onto it, and then we've got the 4. But let's go through it step by step, thinking about what we need to do. So first thing, we're substituting minus 3 in there. So we're saying minus 3 squared. If you get this in a calculator paper and you're typing it into the calculator, put the minus 3 in brackets. Then what you're saying is plus x? Well, I'm saying plus x, which is minus 3. So I'm saying plus minus 3, then plus 4. Okay, let's work all that out. Minus 3 squared we know is 9. Plus minus 3, if there is a positive and a negative next to each other, the negative is actually stronger. Then plus 4. Now you just work this out. 9 minus 3 is 6. 6 plus 4, 10. So 10 would go in there. Okay, let's look at the next one. If you want to pause the video and have a go yourself, you can. And then you can check it against what I do. That's absolutely fine. Good idea. But we're now saying, okay, I'm going to take minus 2 and change x for minus 2. So minus 2 all squared plus x plus minus 2 and then plus 4. So from here, minus 2 squared gives you 4. Plus minus 2 is stronger. Plus 4, well 4 minus 2 is just 2. Plus 4 is 6. So you should have 6 there. Next one. Again, if you want to pause the video and have a go yourself, feel free to. But now I'm saying minus 1 squared plus minus 1 plus 4. Work it out from there. Minus 1 squared is a positive 1. A minus and a positive together, the minus 1 wins. Plus 4, well 1 minus 1 is 0. Plus 4 is 4. Now, if you wanted to work this out, you can. But, again, we know the fact that because there's a plus 4 there, it should just go underneath 0. So I can effectively just change that for 4. Because 0 squared is 0, plus 0 is 0, plus 4. Now we're moving into the positive numbers, it becomes a little bit easier. So this becomes 1 squared plus 1. So because now I've moved to this being a positive value, I don't need to put a minus number in the brackets. I can leave it as a positive there. So x is 1 all squared plus 1, because x is 1 here. And then the plus 4 stays the same. So we're saying 1 squared, which is 1, plus 1, plus 4. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 4 is 6. Okay, finish off the last couple. So we've got 2 squared plus 2 plus 4. 2 squared is 4, plus 2 plus 4. 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 4 is 10. So this value becomes 10. And then the last one, I'm doing pink again. 3 all squared plus 3 plus 4. That's 9 plus 3 plus 4. 9 plus 3 is 12 plus 4, 16. So you have a value of 16 there. And again, we just go back to plotting the points. Minus 3, 10. Minus 3, up to 10. Just be careful of your scale. In this one, 2 squares across the bottom is 1 value, whereas on here, 1 square is 1 value. Minus 2 up to 6. Minus 1 up to 4. 0, 4. So you can see now that there is a little bit of a flattening happening there. And we'll talk about what happens in a second with that. 1, 6. 2, 10. 3, 16. And what you notice is this one's a little bit lopsided now. But I'll draw my points, smooth curve as possible. Now, be very careful here. You do not draw a flat line there. Okay, so make sure you don't do that. What you're trying to do is create a nice smooth curve which starts to dip, and about halfway between the 2 points is where it will start to turn. Okay, so don't make it a flat, carry the point down, make it as smooth as you can through those points all the way up to there. So key thing there, don't make that a flat line, carry your curve on. That would be your turning point, so roughly in the middle of the 2 points is where it starts to turn, and then bring it back up in that direction. Okay. Last one, if you want to have a go at this, you can. Pause the video, see if you can work out that function yourself and plot each of those points. So pause the video, give it a go, and then I'll go through the answers with you. So we go minus 3 all squared plus 2. Now this 2x here is 2 times x. So you're now saying plus 2 times minus 3 minus 5. So a little bit harder because we've got 2 in front of that x in that middle part. But substitution is the same. Minus 3 squared is 9. 2 times minus 3 becomes minus 6. and then minus 5. So just be careful here. This is a positive times a negative. Okay, if this was a negative itself, if it was minus 2, then that bit returns positive. But because we've got a plus 2 times minus 3 becomes minus 6. Well, 9 minus 6 is 3. 3 minus 5 gives you minus 2. So minus 2 goes in there. Okay, next one. Minus 2 all squared plus 2 times minus 2. Then minus your 5. That gives you positive 4. 2 times minus 2 is minus 4 minus 5. 4 minus 4 is 0. Minus 5 is just minus 5. Next one. Minus 1 all squared plus 2 times minus 1 minus 5. Minus 1 squared is just 1. 2 times minus 1 is minus 2. Minus 2 minus 5. 1 minus 2 is minus 1. Minus 5, be careful here, it's minus 6. So we should have minus 6 there. Next one. We know here again, this is your value that just goes under there. 0 squared is 0 plus 2 times 0 is 0, minus 5. Now we're moving into our positive values. So we're just saying 1 squared plus 2 times 1 minus 5. Now at this point here, this bit's going to change to no longer being a negative. So 1 squared we know is 1. 2 times 1 is just 2, so it's plus 2 minus 5. So now instead of a negative at this point here, which we've had in all the other examples, this bit becomes positive, so that's 3. 3 minus 5 is minus 2. Then we move on to 2. So 2 squared plus 2 times 2 minus 5. That's 4. 2 times 2 is plus 4 as well. Then minus 5. That's 8. 8 minus 5 gives you 3. So 3 goes there. And then the last point, 3 squared plus 2 times by 3 minus 5. So 3 squared is 9. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 5. So 9 plus 6 gives you 15. 15 minus 5 is 10. So that's what your table should look like for this one. Now we go to the point of plotting them. First point, minus 3, minus 2, so we're going down here. Minus 2, minus 5. Again, just double check your scale that each one of these values represents 1, whereas here it's 2. Minus 1, minus 6. 0, minus 5. 1 minus 2. 2, 3, 3, 10. That's your graph. So from here, draw a nice smooth curve. Now, because we have 1 point at the bottom, that is your turning point. You don't need to worry about dipping below it. You go straight through it, curve it back up, all the way up to here. And that is your quadratic graph done. Okay, so that's an example of quadratic graphs. I've given you it where it's just the basic function of x squared. Then we had 2 parts to it, so it was x squared minus 2. And then we've gone to speaking about with an additional function where you have the middle part in there as well. Remember, make sure you use a nice smooth curve to join your points up. Don't use a ruler. And just take your time, substitute in each value. Do it like this if you need to, but get these right. If you're going to use a calculator, just make sure you put brackets around this before you square it. Otherwise, the calculator will chuck this out as minus 9, not positive 9. So just be very careful with that. Hope you found that useful. And I will see you in the next video.